Have you ever felt before that the power of storytelling before you started this mission?
Big time. Because since I was a child, by the way, and because I went through what I went through when I speak about bullying and abuse, I didn't have anyone to talk to, so I started a journal. I started journaling my feelings, whatever was happening with me, and slowly, through my experience, I come from an academic background as well. I used to be a professor at two universities back home in Lebanon. I have a master's in comparative literature, so I used to teach literature and creative writing.
Okay. So you know the power of that. Yeah.
And this is how I started gaining my courage, if you want. And I didn't want my students to go through what I went through. Especially in the creative writing class or course, I used to start sharing my stories with my students, and their final project was to write their autobiography.
Okay.
So you have to open up first, so they would open up in return. And it is, by the way, I consider storytelling my first therapy tool.
Correct.
And I learned this also by experience, because if you keep everything in your mind, in your brain, and I always say the brain is like a closet, compared to a closet.
Correct.
Imagine you have your clothes, you're keeping your clothes since you were born until today. What will happen to the shelves? What will happen to the closet? It will simply break down.
Correct.
And imagine you keeping your thoughts
open,
especially if they are negative thoughts in your head. You start ruminating on your thoughts.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a simple thing that happens, but if you keep it here, you start, why did she say that word? What does she mean by that
saying
word?
that?
Is she disrespecting me? Who does she think she is? And you start building on those thoughts. But when you go immediately home, or whatever you are
and
now,
let it go,
you write it down, it stays as it is. You don't build on it. You start asking your questions. Okay, she said that word. Maybe she has an issue. Maybe she needs my help.
And then you reflect on that.
And you start reflecting on this.
Okay.
And this is for me, it was my first therapy tool. Writing and developing the story. And when you put it down, you're using another sensory, sense, which is your eyesight. So when you read it,
it becomes more clear.
And then start reading it aloud.
Okay.
So when you see it and you hear it, it becomes even smaller. It's no longer that huge problem or people are attacking me, or people don't like me. You start building on all this.
Yes.
No, you see things as they are.
And it becomes so simple, right? So
simple.
The problem doesn't look so big. You break down your problem.
Exactly.
Very beautiful tip. It's like think, write it down, reflect on it.
Exactly. And retrieve the lesson
from that.
Retrieve the message from that.